What's up, guys? We're gonna do another video today. I'm sure you've seen in the last video, if you have seen the last video, we have our new fuel level sensor. This came exactly like I intended. I thought it would. This is the main connector, goes on top of the fuel pump. These are the two other smaller connectors that go towards the bottom of the fuel pump assembly. The connector has brand new lines on it. It looks perfect. Everything came perfect. And then this is also the O-ring, a new O-ring for the fuel pump module. So everything's here the way I thought it would come and as intended. So we're basically gonna hop right into it. I'm gonna try to not make this video very long, but I want to be as descriptive as humanly possible. So first things first. Let's now you're probably wondering, why are you doing this on the floor? You've probably seen a lift in the background. Well, for one, I'm by myself. And for two, there's gas in the tank, which means I don't want the tank being too far from the ground or that it can fall or anything like that. So first order of business, we got to identify some of the things that we need to take off. So this is really not very good to see. So we're gonna have to take off this hose clamp here for your fill. Take that off, and then this hose just comes right off. Right here, the one right in front of it. So maybe I can hold the camera and do this. I probably should have. So this will actually you just twist it back and forth a little bit. This is just for the evap system. That just comes right off. That's fine. And don't worry too much about fuel getting on you at this point, because it's probably just not going to happen. So that's not a big deal. This clip, you just push outwards. I don't know if you can see what I did here. So these, just push it out, right? It has a little prong on it. You just push it out on both sides. You'll feel it on both sides. Just spread your fingers apart. It just pops up. I don't know if you. So it's just, all that is just a little safety clip, little blue safety clip, right? So that just pops up, right? So we'll get this off first, and then what we're gonna do is you'll push this button. It's kind of like a button, right? So you're supposed to be able to push this up, pull this off. But again, I'm probably gonna have to use two hands for that, but that's how that comes off. So let's get that off, and then we'll go from there. As you can see, we just pop that right off. Again, you just push down on this button, or it's kind of like a button. Now it might take a little bit of effort, but you just push that in and just kind of wiggle and jiggle. If it doesn't really want to come off, still hold it down, push it forward first, and then pull back. Usually that's a little trick. This likes to stick on there because of that. Just give it a twist back and forth until you feel it loose, and then go up and down, pull it down, push it up to get it off of this a little bit easier without really this is plastic, so just be careful with that. So next order of business is coming over here. So this is the front of your tank towards the front of the vehicle, and you can see this red one right here. Now this red piece is actually a lock. Okay, this is a safety lock, and if I can remember how this comes off, that would be fantastic. Okay, yeah, I remember now. So on the back side, you'll feel again two little prongs, and then, but just like the other one, you're going to just use two fingers, but you're going to pinch your fingers together on this one, and you'll feel it just kind of slide back, and then just slide it back until it clicks. That's all. That's as far as you need to go. You do not need to go any farther than that. And then this should come off. This one I'm going to wait on because this is your main fuel line. So last time I took this off, nothing came out, but just in case, I am going to grab something real quick for that. And then again, here's your fuel tank, and as you can see, there's one there for this is one of your straps right here. Okay, as you can see, this is a strap, and it goes up, and it's got the nut there, and then you got the second strap down in the back, and those are what actually hold this tank in. Okay, so let's get something for that, get this off, and then we'll continue on. All right, so now that we got the tank pretty fairly well down, just want to show a few things real quick. So for the fuel pump, so you can see it now. fuel pump, okay, or the sending unit, or however you want to call it. So this, oops, got some fuel leakage. This connector right here, again, same principle as the other one we did. Push button on it. There is no safety on that one, so don't worry about that. But this one does. You can see this little red tab. This is the connector for the electronics. It'll be pushed in like this. Now, it's really hard to see, and it's not very long. See that little middle piece right there? Now, I believe you push that this way towards this side of the connector, and then it pushes back. But a lot of these, if you just give it enough force with your finger, it will push out from the back side, and that's just safety clip. Then you can pull this off. So that's one thing you need to make sure that you're getting at, okay? And you can see back there, which we'll get back there, but you can see where the stuff that we took off in the beginning, it's kind of folded up, trying to get around the get around the frame of the truck. So make sure you remember how everything's routed, because it's all got to go back the same way that it came in, or it's not going to want to go in properly. You can see I have like a little block here holding up the back. What I did is I put these in on the front and back, lowered it down. Like I said, I am by myself, so I wanted to lower it down little by little, so we make sure that we don't get anything caught or stuck or anything like that, which I did, because I forgot about this little guy. Gotta worry about this little guy. So you can see this connector, that goes right there, in that, on the back, on the very back of this fuel pump, okay? It's behind this heat shield. You'll see the connector there. Make sure you get that off before you drop it. I started to drop it, and I could see that it was getting taut, and realized that's where I messed up. So, you guys hang out right there. And I took the straps out. These are the fuel tank straps. I'll show you how to get those out once we get the tank out, because it'll just be easier so that you can see how they go in, make it easier for them to come out. Now, this does not weigh hardly anything, because there's almost no gas in this truck. I did that on purpose. Slide it forward a little bit, make sure everything comes down. All right, now you're probably wondering why I slid the tank forward like that, because now I can get a jack underneath it. So now we put the jack underneath the truck, and the truck doesn't really actually have to come up that high, because it sits so high as it is. But you can see that the tank just barely doesn't want to come out of there. So we will, actually, this gotta go over here. So we will get it. We'll get the jack, we'll lift the truck up, and then we'll slide the tank out. Okay, fuel tank's out, truck's lifted up. You can see it's just barely off the ground there. All right, so a couple key things here. This was your main fuel supply, the one with the red connector that we had to take off. When you take it off, it is just popped into these spots, right? Just like that, just like that. Get as close as you can to the first little pinch and just pull up, and it just pops off. When you take it off the connector, it is easier to get this off, and just so you have a little bit of wiggle, and you can just wiggle and it pops right off, no big deal. And again, here's your electronic connector. So, and this is that other push button. Remember what I said about the push button? So you'll just push it. I usually push forward to make sure that it gets away from this little ridge here that it latches onto. I usually push forward, get it away from that, then push the button. It usually pops right off, no big deal. And as you see here, this is that hose for the evap that we just took off with our finger, or with our hands, I should say. Here's your fuel hose, fill hose, and then this is the other one. This is that safety latch I was showing you. This pops in like this, has these little prongs at each side, and that's why you just pull it apart and it comes off. Try not to take it all the way off, because it's kind of a bitch to get back on sometimes. And then again, this white piece, you just push that in, and you can see how that kind of opens up, and that's how that comes off. And then here, as you can see now that we're towards the back here, right behind, remember, right behind this shield, there's another connector as part of the evap system. So you got to make sure you get that off before you drop the tank as well. And then, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take this off. I'm going to show you how to do that. Now this is a little bit tricky because you kind of have to hammer it off. So you have to be careful with what you use. Remember, we are dealing with fuel. I've done this several times, and what I usually do is I use a small pry bar, much like this one, and usually I try to use a rubber mallet. Unfortunately, mine's busted. So we are going to use this. We're just going to be very, very careful. It does not take a tremendous amount of force, so there should be no sparks or anything like that. So we won't worry about that. So this is the ring, right? So this is the hold down ring that holds this down and in place. So what we need to do is, as you can see right here, these pieces are the teeth, and we need to get them into this open area. So this needs to spin this way so this can get into this area, and then this just pulls straight off. The thing is it's pretty tight on there because it has to seal, obviously. So we gotta, what they have are these little other areas on the outsides. So we'll pick one that's easy to get to, probably this one, especially because there's no fuel on it. You know, there's a little bit of fuel here. I try to stay away from that. But we'll pick this one. All we're gonna do is, you're gonna take the pry bar, put it right on the edge of that hole, and we're just gonna tap it until it spins where it needs to go. So I'm gonna see if I can find a good spot to put you. That's the thing, I should have brought my my headpiece so I can put you on my head. So again, just a little bit of force here. Let's try putting you up there on the truck. How about that? So that's all it takes. I mean, obviously it was a little bit more force than I wanted to, but it's got this ridge on it, and then it's got a spot inside that piece that hooks onto, and that getting that out of that little groove is kind of a pain in the butt. But this just lifts off. Okay, make sure you get it off of all of them, which is also difficult with only one hand. It does not want to let go of this thing. Maybe it's because I'm only using one hand. There we go. Sometimes just unseating this will pull this off, and then because the problem I realize sometimes is it kind of sits underneath here and underneath here, so it doesn't want to try to get around that sometimes. So if you just kind of wiggle and jiggle this until it, because it's spring loaded, so it'll pop up on its own. So let's get this out. Okay, now be careful, and I'll show you why, but this is going to be full of fuel. So as you can see, as I'm pulling this out, see this drum in the bottom? That is full of fuel. So the trick is sometimes if you turn it to the right or the left or the forward, you can kind of hear it start draining out. This one is just not going to do it. Also, see the bar for the float? You have to be very, very, like, we're going to be replacing this one, so it's not as imperative. Let's see if we can tip it. If I bend it, it's not that big of a deal, but when we put it back in, we got to be very, very, very careful not to bend this. Okay, so you got to basically put the float in the hole and then just kind of guide it in that way. So as we can see, oh yeah. It's kind of hard for you to see, but you can see that different colored line in the middle. That's why it's messed up. So we have our connectors, one here, the one on the top, and then we also have our one down here on the bottom. So this should come off simply by pulling this back. So make sure I can see what you're seeing. There's a little tab here, and I believe, now I don't know exactly how this comes off, so this is going to be kind of a trick. But I believe we pull that tab back and then pull this off, which kind of looks like it's trying to do already. Yeah, that looks like it's separated. Well, let me figure this part out the best way I can. I'll be right back. Okay, that took about 30 seconds to figure out. So basically what it is, as you can see here, so this little tab right here, these two little tabs, you just push those in until you see a little bit of space between this edge and this edge back here, so that you know that it's basically pulled back, and then it's hooked onto this, right in this hole. See the hole there? That's in that hole. So all I did was take this screwdriver and I stuck it behind it and just gave it just enough pressure and popped it up, and it slides up out of this groove. So this piece, as you can see, it's a grooved piece that slides down right into this groove here, and you'll see that as we install it. So let me get this part out completely, make sure we got everything that we need, get all the plugs unplugged, and then we'll install the new one. I'll show you how it pops back on. We'll put this and the new O-ring back on the tank, and then I'm going to show you a few quick other things, and then we're just going to do a tank install and we'll be done. All right. Okay, now that we got these, this was a pain in the ass to get out. It did not want to come out. So all I did was, with it in its hole, if I can get it to just kind of slide in there, I don't want to put it all the way in because it's, like I said, it was a real pain to get out. All I did was take my handy dandy screwdriver, push the clip in, and then just kind of twist the screwdriver, and it ended up popping it out. This one is also really fun because this is two black pieces, right? So this is the upper piece, this is the lower piece. This lower piece is the one that actually has kind of the, as you can see there, this is the clip that holds it in place, and it's got to be pushed back. Again, just kind of pushed it in with my screwdriver, got it up underneath here, up underneath the that little ridge up here, pushed it in and just gave it a little tiny bit of force. You got to be very careful. That's the pump down there that it connects to, so you don't want to mess that up. But the one thing I do want to tell everybody is, see this? Okay, so we have this is the sensor and everything, right? See this black wire? This does not come out. At least not to my pertinent knowledge at the moment. Yeah, it does not come out. This stays in. This is the connector that goes to this connector, but they did a zip tie right here. So all we're gonna do, and we're gonna be extremely careful with it. Make sure no wires are there, and just put that zip tie. There you have it, folks. Here is your piece of garbage fuel level sensor. Hell, you can really see the line there. So that's out. Now I'll show you how quick this actually goes in. Now that I figured out how it comes out. Now, as you can see, this one is beautiful. No line, should work perfect. Everything should be copacetic after this. So I am very excited. So let's get the sensor in. Sorry, I dropped you. Okay, so let's get the sensor in place. Float obviously goes towards the bottom, so it'll sit up like this. You can see how that it's got to go into there, just like that. It should, if it wants to, I don't know if it wants to, it should just slide down into place. There it goes. Popped in. It's not quite there yet. There it goes. See, slides pretty much right into place. Had to obviously manipulate it a little bit. And then all we have to do is connect these electronics. So get you all set up there. So that's what we'll do, is spin this back around here. Be very careful of our float, remember. Do not want to mess that up. That one plugs right into that. This one again plugs right into this one. Bam, just like so. And then this one goes down into the fuel pump. So Problem is getting your fingers on it to get it down there. There it goes. All right. All I'm gonna do now is I am gonna grab like a little zip tie. Since they had it like that before, I want to do that like again. And what we'll do is we'll do it below this connector again, right here. Okay, now that we got our sensor installed, come over here, grab our handy dandy O-ring that we got, brand new. Do I really think that it was important to change this O-ring? Not necessarily. This one looks to be in pretty good shape. Doesn't look like there's any cuts or any damage to it, but we do have a new one, and therefore we will replace it because it's brand new. The only thing about this is it is going to be a pain in the butt to get that ring back on to lock it down. So that's the only thing that kind of sucks. Yeah, we'll clean that up once we get her in there. I'd like to clean all this and get it all pretty again. So, all right. Now it's important to remember which way this was facing. So the connector and this was facing directly towards the front of the truck, which would be that way. So again, what we want to do is you want to be very, very careful with this float, but you don't want to spill gas all over the place. So just kind of sneak that in there a little bit, go really slow, and then just kind of push it down. Okay. Now it's not going to find any type of happy place on the bottom of the bottom there, but you know. And then this should just push down and kind of into place. So you can see how this has like kind of an alignment tab between here and here. So you can kind of you can kind of get it lined up that way on which way it's kind of supposed to be facing. Just be very careful with this when you push it, just for the simple fact, you know, it is touching something. Make sure that it's not, you know, tilting in the tank like this, that it is stand up straight. Like right now, I believe that it is kind of getting cocked, and I really don't want that to happen. So I'm just gonna wiggle and jiggle it. And again, this could be just because the O-ring's new, and this is, like I said, this is going to be a real pain in the butt because it's a brand new O-ring. To get it to sit down nicely. So, well, let me get that down. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna let you guys watch me struggle. So, please enjoy. Of course, as soon as I use two hands, it goes right down. Your ring does not go, the flat side goes down. So just put it on, slide it on around your electronic plug. What I try to do is by hand just kind of get it in the grooves that it goes into. Make sure that they all make contact. Every single one of them are already started to go in the direction that they're supposed to. And again, all we're trying to do, as you can see, there's that little hump right here in the middle. We need to get this hump into that one. So we're going to do the same thing that we did to take it off, but now we're going to put it on. So we're going to hit from this direction until those grooves line up, and then it's locked in place. And then this way, you don't get any fuel leakage. But again, this might take a little bit more force because that O-ring's brand new. Alright, so all in all, not too bad. I actually thought it was going to be worse than that. But as you can see, They're nice and lined up. See the groove to groove, everything's lined up, which means she's in place, she's locked down, she's good to go. I'm gonna switch the battery out on the GoPro, and then we're gonna show you a few things real quick, and then we're sliding her back in, put her back up, and make sure everything's working as it should. Go in here so that so you can see the shape of this hole. This is the hole that the strap goes into, and without punching myself in the face with it, this is the part that goes in that hole. So with it out, you can it'll give you an idea of kind of how this goes in and how it comes out, because you won't be able to see it when you actually do it. So switch hands here. So all you do, see this piece, just it goes in its hole, and then it just hooks on there. So it's kind of hard. Let me get the plate here. Not pointed at the camera. So you can see it just kind of hangs in there. So when you take it off, you know, when you want to get this off with the tank in, all you're going to do is the back curve here, just kind of push up on it and kind of wiggle and jiggle it, and it'll just pop right out. So it's not a big deal, but when you put it in, it's going to be the same situation. You know, you got your one over there, you got one here, but you're not going to be able to see them once the tank starts to go up. So you just kind of just ride it up until you feel it get into the hole, and then, you know, usually what I do is I try to, you know, twist it to try to tip it back, and then I always pull on it, make sure that it's seated properly before I start putting it on the bolt up here to actually hold the tank on. So that's the last thing I just really wanted to show you guys. So now we're gonna get the tank back in here, and we are gonna get it put up and try to get everything. Now remember, now your fill, your tank fill and all that stuff goes up and over this frame. It does not go under the frame, it goes up and over the frame. So when the tank goes up, this is why I say you should have two people. You know, especially with no gas in the tank, because then it's real lightweight. But someone needs to kind of slowly go up, and you kind of have to massage it, the fill hose and the evap hose, and then that other evap line, kind of massage it to go over as it goes up. So, you know, it's always best to do this job with two people anyway. It just makes it go way faster. Now I am doing this by myself, and I do, you know, I am filming for you guys to help you guys figure out how to do this, and I am going really slow and trying to be very descriptive on exactly what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, so on and so forth. And so far we're only an hour into this job and we're already putting the tank back in. So if I was doing this still even by myself, but if I wasn't filming or anything like that, it'd already be in the truck would be running, everything would be fine. So don't think that this job is an overly huge job, but you are dealing with gas. Take your time. And if you're gonna do this outside in your driveway, that's fine, but if you're gonna do this in your garage or something like that, make sure the garage door is open, it's properly ventilated. I'm in a giant shop and the fumes are real. I actually went outside and got some fresh air and stuff like that, but make sure it's well ventilated wherever you're doing this. This is fuel, the fumes are real, bro. So let me get the tank pretty much propped back in. If I think anything else in the meantime of doing that, I'll be sure to obviously record that too. But the next clip should be me firing up the truck, which means cold start. Well guys, job is done. Let's see how long that took. It took me about 30 minutes to button everything else up and put tools away, so on and so forth. So let's see how it went. Gotta love that sound. We'll say that Rams sound amazing. All right, well, we can see that the check engine light's still on. Dumbass. Obviously the remote start shuts off every time the check engine light's on, so let's try this again from inside the truck.
Inside at 98.
Now the problem was before is that would be on and this would be dead. But notice how that's reading now. So I'm sure if we clear that, everything's gonna be cleared, good to go. Sweet. So all I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna grab, we have a scanner here at work. I'll grab a scanner real quick, clear the code, and that should be it. We should be good to go. So thanks guys, and I hope that for the few of you that really wanted to know how this job gets done, I know that you guys wanted to do it on your own, don't want to pay the dealer to do it. I will put a link to where I got the sensor. It was $120. The dealer wants $163, so it does save you a little bit of money. It is a Mopar part, a genuine Mopar part. It comes in a Mopar genuine accessories box. So if this is something that you want to do, I'll put the link for where I got it in the description so you guys can order it. It came within like 3 days, 2 days. And hopefully this helps out you guys. And we have more videos coming. I have my helper springs I'm probably gonna put in a little bit. I'm not gonna do it right now, but that'll be a video in a couple of days. Try not to shove too many videos in your face. So just like that guys, until next time, deuces.